I'm from Xiamen University, Malaysia, and today I'm going to do you a short video clip that will introduce and describe some of the physics that I have found and analyzed in this movie. And the movie I chose is Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull. So I would like to express my appreciation to my lecturer, Mr. Chong, as well as to my university, Xiamen University, Malaysia, as they have provided such a good platform for us to learn. And physics in movie, it's a very good elective course, and I'm glad that I chose it, and I'm being exposed to different kind of physics knowledge. And now I'm going to explain some of the physics problem in the movie, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Alright, let's get started. The film I choose is Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull. The reason I chose the movie is because of it was actually the first action adventure film that I have watched in the cinema. So when I was young, I always feel amazed at how a man could survive in such a hard situation, and I wonder if the man has some supernatural power that can make him survive in every disastrous incident he had. So it actually to fulfill my curiosity, and I've decided to analyze this movie from a science perspective, as we have been taught in the lecture class. So I will briefly introduce the movie and some of the scene that contain some physics problem. And here's the first one. The first one is the odd magnetic field in the movie. It's because the first physics problem I found in the movie is about the magnetic fields that lead to the coffin. The film is actually set in 1957, while archaeologist Indiana Jones and his partner George Mack are kidnapped by Soviet agents under Colonel Dr. Irina Spakov, who invade a secret Nevada warehouse and force Indiana Jones to lead them to a crate in Hangar 51. So, the Soviet agents force him to locate a mummified corpse from the Roswell UFO incident. And in this case, Indy actually come up with an idea to use both gunpowder and shot to find the crate, which has magnetic properties. So I would like to give you an image on what is magnetic fields. Magnetic force is an attraction or repulsion that arises between electrically charged particles due to their motion. So while Indiana Jones is in the warehouse scenes, he uses gunpowder and pellets and tries to locate a box with highly magnetic contents. During that time, all of the military issued buckshot pellets and gave it to Jones. By the time in 1957, the United States Army was using smokeless powder, which does not contain metal. The gunpowder is actually made out of lead, and lead has no magnetic properties. Furthermore, not all metals are attracted by a magnet. Some are even repelled by the magnet. But Indiana Jones is using the gunpowder to track the box that the Soviets are after. The gunpowder eventually floats in the air and leads them towards the coffin. The magnetic force seems to be quite strong in the beginning of tracking the box. However, you can see that it's actually not that strong after they open the box. So let's stay for a moment and see how they locate the mummified corpse. From here you can see that as soon as the box is revealed and being moved out, all of the lighter fittings nearby starts to get attracted by the box. From the perspective of science, if fittings nearby starts to get attracted by the box, it means that the magnetic force is getting bigger when it's moved out. But however, since in the beginning the magnetic force is that strong enough until it can attract the gunpowder, so why do the nearby lighter fittings will only get attracted by the box after the Soviet open it? That's one of the very weird problems exists in the movie, and it does not make sense because it only attract a gunpowder which does not contain metal in the beginning, and after they open it, only it starts to attract the nearby lighter fittings. Indiana actually escapes on a rocket that brings him to a desert during his attempt to escape from the Soviets. Rocket physics involve the application of Newton's law of motion. Newton's third law states that every action has an equal and opposite direction. In a rocket engine, hot exhaust gas is generated through the combustion of a fuel with an oxidizer. The hot exhaust gas flows through the rocket nozzle and is accelerated to the rear of the rocket. The launching of rocket, Newton's first law defines how an object acts when no force is exerted on it. So, the rocket will stay still until there is a force that acts upon it and moves them. And if you want to stop the rocket, they will not stop until another force is applied to stop them. So in the movie, you can observe that when Indiana and the Soviet are riding on a rocket sled, the great braking force that applied by the water braking is adapting the Newton's first law. So when it's moving, they will not stop until the force generated by the water braking is applied. However, when the rocket is being stopped by such a great force from the water braking, Indiana and the Soviet defy the law of inertia that did not remain motion while the water braking force is applied. They should be thrown violently forwards immediately when the rocket brakes, but they tend to remain in motion and they only lean forward slightly but did not fall down from the rocket, and this violates the law of inertia. So the third physics problem I found in Indiana Jones 4 would be the infamous nuke refrigerator scene. It's one of the most important physics problems in Indiana Jones 4. So we can say that nuclear power is the use of nuclear reactions that release nuclear energy to generate heat. Nuclear energy also contains a very high amount of radiation. This problem has even gone viral and many scientists even discuss about radiation. Indiana Jones had to hide in a lead-line refrigerator before a nuclear explosion went off, and both the fridge and he seemed to survive from the nuclear explosion. He would have died with broken bones when he is exposed to nuclear in reality. From the movie, we can observe that the fridge is being tossed in the air and flipped for several times before it landed on the ground. I strongly believe that the fridge and Jones would have been exploded in the beginning instead of being tossed in the air. Even though he can survive from the explosion, he will certainly be thrown out from the fridge when the fridge is flipping in the air. Physicists in the University of Leicester have confirmed, scientifically, that even if Indiana Jones can survive from the force of blast and the fridge launched into the desert, he would have definitely died from gamma ray radiation fallout immediately following the nuclear explosion, as 50's refrigerator lead lining technology is not withstanding enough to protect him. I want to share with you some of the lessons I've learned from the movie, and I realized that how important is physics because we applied it in daily life as well as in the movie. And this time, by choosing Indiana Jones 4, I actually identified a few good physics and some bad physics in the movie. But I learned something new because I can learn that from the launching of a rocket, we can have Newton's law of motion in it, including Newton's first, second, and third law. I learned something new about how the law is, and I learned that how to apply in the launching of rocket. And this is something extra for me because we do not get used to exposed to such knowledge. And well, from identifying and analyzing the movie, I learned something new. And yeah, for me, I found that the nuke fridge in the movie, it's very silly, and it's quite disappointing that how can this scene to be played in the movie, because it just does not make sense. However, I might think that this might be one of their marketing strategies to promote their movie, because it really bring out a very huge topic on these scenes and everyone is discussing about it. And I think that if their purpose is to promote the movie, I think they've done a pretty good job. But for us who we analyze it from a scientific view, and it will become very silly because it does not have any physics to support it. Yeah, and I'm glad that I can learn something new from analyzing the movie. And I also thank you for our teacher that have show us so many movies and explain to us what is the physics in the movie. And I feel very thankful, and thank you, sir, for giving us such a good opportunity to produce this video. Thank you. See you.